Hey, it's Alex Saenger with Real Agent Advice, your source for agent insight and inspiration. Today, we're back with Wendy Papasan from Texas and Kimber Menkiti from DC, and they're going to be talking about the one thing.
So if you want to get good at something, you need to do it over and over and over. And let me give you an example. I have a woman who is Rookie of the Year in Austin, not just for Keller Williams, but for the whole city of Austin, which is a very competitive place. And so her thing that year was all she did was open houses. And she ended up selling over $10 million worth of real estate that first year, which is really impressive. But what's amazing about the story is she did not get her first buyer until the 35th open house. 35. And you know, people are like, I'm not good at open houses. Okay, well, you suck at it. So you got to get good at something, you got to have mastery over it, and the way you do that is focus on the one thing.
Don't chase all the rabbits, right? You got to really identify and stick to it, like the consistency of what your activity is. I mean, in that sort of geometric progression, like a lot of times we stop right when they're getting ready to hit the curve, right? Like it's gradually then suddenly. So you're doing the activity and you're doing the activity and you're ready to give up on the 34th open house and the buyers are the 35th. And so identifying what it is and being committed to a 12-month cycle of staying with that activity to see it through. Invest in yourself, not in a magic bullet.
So I'm not sure if you ever picked up on it, but right behind me is a stack of books. And one of the books in that stack is actually The One Thing, written by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. Now, The One Thing really focuses on what's the one thing that you can do such that doing it, everything else becomes unnecessary or easier, right? That's kind of a synopsis of what the idea behind the book is. And in the example that Wendy gave about the agent who focused on open houses, that was her one thing. I'm going to generate business from open houses. Now, if you think about it, and Kimber mentioned kind of the hockey puck approach, or the hockey stick approach rather, where, you know, success is gradual and then all of a sudden. So this is an example, if you will, of that, right? So the person that's doing the open houses, they do a bunch of open houses and then they hit the 34th, they're really not having success, and then all of a sudden after 34, boom, their business skyrockets. That's the idea behind gradual and then all of a sudden. So people always ask, where'd that person come from? They came out of nowhere. Well, no, they've been doing a lot of work, it's just you didn't notice it. Another example that people use a lot of times is, you know, when you see a duck on the surface of the water, and the duck is just kind of gliding on the surface of the water. They're just smoothly working their way across the pond or across the lake. Well, what you don't see is underneath, their feet are kicking 1,000,000 miles an hour just to make them move across the water. Well, that's the same idea here. You got to put in all this work to finally get that result that you're looking for. So if you're someone who is thinking about real estate and you're scattered and all over the place, you're kind of like that busy bee, squirrel, you know, that whole thing, stop. Get focused. Do the one thing that's going to make you successful. Dive in deep, and until you become a master at that one thing, you shouldn't really focus on doing another thing. When you do that, you'll realize that over time, you'll be gradual, and then all of a sudden, the results will wind up coming from the activity that you do to get to the result that you're looking for. I'm Alex Saenger with Real Agent Advice. I look forward to seeing you next time. If you have some great advice you'd like to share, or you'd just like to grab some coffee, email me at coffee@realagentadvice.com.